There are places so silent, even the gods fear to speak their names. The year was 1473. The Aztec Empire stood at its peak, drenched in gold and blood. Each dawn, the priests of Tenochtitlan lifted their hands to the rising sun, their prayers echoing across the lakes. But one morning, a group of frightened villagers arrived from beyond the mountains. Their leader spoke of a forbidden land, a valley where no birds sang, no water flowed, and even the wind refused to blow. They called it the Valley of Silent Gods, and no one who entered it had ever returned. The emperor, intrigued and wary, sent a small expedition of 5 men to uncover the truth. Leading them was a young warrior named Ixcoatl, accompanied by an aging priest, a seer, and 2 skilled trackers. For days they journeyed through the withered forests, where the air grew heavier and the sky dimmed to a dull, metallic grey. By the 3rd day the wind was gone entirely. The jungle fell silent. No birds, no insects, no life. At the entrance to the valley stood a corridor of tall stone pillars, each carved with the likeness of ancient gods. But all their faces had been chiseled away, erased deliberately, as if their names had been cursed. The old priest whispered, trembling, "This is not a place of worship. It is a place of forgetting." They camped at the valley's edge that night. No fire would burn. The wood was too dry, too lifeless. When dawn came, one of the trackers was gone. Only his footprints remained, then abruptly stopped in the dust. It was as if the man had simply vanished into thin air. The group pressed onward deeper into the valley until they found it, a field of temples carved from grey stone, perfectly preserved yet older than any they had ever seen. Faces were etched into the walls, human faces twisted in silent screams. The seer stepped closer and his heart froze. One of those faces looked exactly like the missing tracker, eyes wide open, mouth agape. The stones seemed to breathe. The priest began to pray, but no sound came. His voice didn't echo. In that valley, words died the moment they were spoken. They all realized the truth. This place was not silent because it was empty, but because something here devoured sound. That night, whispers drifted from the temples. Ixcoatl drew his obsidian blade and entered the darkness. The air was warm, the walls moist, as if they pulsed with something alive beneath the stone. By morning, the seer was gone, and on the temple gate, a new carving had appeared. His face, frozen mid-prayer. Only Ixcoatl and the priest remained. The priest stopped praying altogether. He placed his hand on the stones and murmured, "The gods were not forgotten here. We are." That night Ixcoatl dreamed of a faceless deity, its skin grey as stone, its hollow eyes staring deep into him. When he awoke, the priest was missing, and at the center of the valley, upon a newly formed altar, a human face rose and fell, as if breathing. Ixcoatl ran. He reached the mouth of the valley just as the sky turned black. When he looked back, the temples had changed. Thousands of stone faces now stared at him, their mouths open in eternal soundless screams. And as he gasped for breath, he realized something horrifying. His shadow was gone. Centuries passed. No map marks the Valley of Silent Gods. No animals go near it. Archaeologists call the region dead soil. Yet, on certain nights when the wind shifts over the mountains, some claim to hear it, the faint echo of countless whispers, carried on the breathless air. We remember those who forgot us. Some gods do not awaken with prayer, but with blood. In the heart of Tenochtitlan, shrouded in morning mist, a massive temple rose toward the heavens, a serpent of stone piercing the clouds. It was the temple of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, god of wind and rebirth. To the people, it was a symbol of hope. But that year, the rains had stopped, the soil cracked, the rivers dried, and children died gasping under the sun. The priests prayed, yet the heavens remained silent. Until one night the silence answered back. High Priest Xolotl claimed that Quetzalcoatl had spoken to him in a dream. The god wished to be reborn, but to return he demanded the breath of 1,000 souls. The people wept, but the priests obeyed. They built a great stone basin at the top of the temple. Every night prisoners, criminals, and even volunteers were brought before the altar. Their final breaths were taken through sacred smoke, each inhalation offered to the waiting god. As the rituals continued, strange things began to happen. The temple stones turned darker. From the cracks between them, hot vapor hissed. A smell of incense and rot hung over the city. Xolotl proclaimed to the terrified crowd, "The serpent's breath will cleanse the skies." But salvation never came. On the night of the 1,000th sacrifice, the sky turned black. The moon vanished. The stars died. A silence unlike any other filled the air, until a low hiss rose from beneath the altar. The ground trembled. Blood poured from the stone basin, and from that crimson pool something began to crawl out. A massive serpent, its scales slick and glistening, coiled around the temple steps. Its eyes were hollow, its breath thick and foul. But this was not Quetzalcoatl. This was something born from stolen breaths, a reflection of divinity, twisted by human fear. The creature slithered through the streets, and one by one, people fell. They couldn't breathe. The air itself turned against them. By morning, Tenochtitlan was silent. When the warriors entered the temple, they found every priest dead, their eyes open, their faces frozen in terror, and on their lips one word, breath. The temple stones were still warm. Hundreds of bloody handprints marked the walls, signs of desperate people trying to escape. And at the very top, the incense burner still burned. Someone had lit it again, though no one remained alive to do so. Months later, travelers said they could still hear the serpent's hiss echoing through the ruins. The wind refused to pass through that place. Even the silence seemed to suffocate. The gods may give us life, but sometimes they take our breath to be reborn.
I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Don't forget to like and stay tuned for more stories. See you soon.